Microsoft Excel is a key tool used by systems engineers, requirements managers, project managers, and others. The Excel connector provides two-way data exchange between Excel and GENESYS, allowing you to edit GENESYS data in Excel and then push it back into GENESYS. The Excel connector is an independently installed product and does not require its own license. The GENESYS add-in appears in Excel as a tab on the ribbon from which the connector can be controlled. While on the GENESYS tab, simply click the GENESYS icon to log in. This will display the standard GENESYS login dialog. You'll use the same username and password that you used to log into GENESYS. This will give you access using the same permission set you have when using the GENESYS client. There are several sections on the ribbon that are used to control access to the GENESYS data. The Repository/Project section shows which repository and project you are accessing. Once logged in, you can simply choose a project from the project drop-down. The Table Definitions section allows you to define a table to facilitate import of information from the selected project in GENESYS. Clicking the Table Definition button will open a separate dialog through which you can define the table to be used for data import. We have provided a set of table definitions to help get you started. These cover many basic needs and serve as a sample for the development of your own table definitions. When one is selected, the column definition is populated. This section has banded rows that represent the columns in Excel, displaying the attributes, parameters, relations, and relation target classes that will be retrieved. You can edit these as desired. The tabbed sections in the top right of the dialog allow you to define the classes, folders, and/or packages whose entities you want to get. The default class dropdown defines the class where created entities, if any, will be placed. All settings in this dialog can be configured by you. If you create your own table definition, be sure to save it for reuse using the save icons. This will save the table definition as part of your project data in GENESYS. Table definitions can be exported from GENESYS for sharing with other projects. When you are satisfied with the settings, click Load. A dialog warns you that GENESYS will overwrite data in your spreadsheet. Now that the data is loaded, I can edit it or save the file. Please note that the data brought into Excel is formatted in a default manner. You may need to adjust formatting if you want the data to be displayed differently. I'll switch to a sheet I have already adjusted for time-saving purposes. After you have imported the data, you do not need to maintain the connection to GENESYS in order to edit it. Note, hovering over a column title cell provides information as to whether or not the cells in that column are updatable. I'll go ahead and make a simple description edit. Edits made here can be pushed back into GENESYS using Publish Changes or Publish All buttons. Use the Publish Changes button to write data to GENESYS only from the fields you have changed. Use the Publish All button to write all data to GENESYS. The publication of any data from Excel should be done carefully. Because you can hold data in Excel for an extended period of time, if you have done so, it's possible that your version of the data is not the most recent. When you work in a GENESYS client, all data is up to date all the time. When you work through a connector, the data is only up to date at the moment that you pull it from Genesys. It is possible to overwrite changes made by another team member when pushing data to Genesys from the Excel connector. I'll go ahead and publish just my one change. When you have versioning enabled on your project, in the event your change overwrites another team member's changes, both versions are stored, and the last one committed is shown as the current. You can view versions of attributes in the Attribute Version dialog in Genesys. Here you see the edited description in Genesys. You can also add new entities to the Genesys database using the Excel connector. I'll switch back to Excel, and then I'll go ahead and add a new entity to the table here. Now that the entity has been added, I'll click Publish Changes to send this data to Genesys. Switching back over to Genesys, you can now see that my new entity is now here in Genesys. The Genesys ribbon has a section entitled Dashboard. This section provides a set of dashboards which are intended as a means for the project leadership to get a high-level understanding and status of the project repository maturity on a periodic basis. There are currently 3 dashboards available in the Excel connector: Requirements Management, Program Management, and Test/Evaluation Planning. I'll select the Program Management dashboard. When loading a dashboard, you can place the data in the current sheet or a new sheet. Because I have data I want to keep in my current sheet, I'll select New, then click the Load button. The dashboard information is now loaded in a new sheet. As you can see, I have data presented in easy-to-read charts, which I can now save and edit as desired. This video is an introduction to the Excel connector. For more complete information, including installation, reference the Excel connector guide. For more information and resources on Genesys, please visit our website or contact our support team.